Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Wednesday morning to you all. Hope you guys are feeling well out there, having a great week so far. And hopefully, most of you are walking outside this morning, if you haven't already, and getting a breath of that fresh fall air, especially if you live in the eastern U.S. And it's still there in the areas of the central U.S., but of course, the best air mass has now shifted towards the eastern U.S. So if it's feeling great out there, it's a great start to a Wednesday morning for sure if you're into this kind of fall-like weather, which I imagine and hopefully most of you guys are. But anyways, we're going to give you an update weather-wise on what's most likely going to occur today. Not a very active day in the neck of the woods of the actual U.S., but we'll break down each region as we always do, and then we're going to give you a pretty big update on the tropics. Guidance hasn't went away from 96L being something that we need to watch. So we're going to give you the latest and greatest information on that. And I think this is going to be kind of a tough one to figure out. It seems like every tropical system has, and normally everyone is. But I do think areas of the Caribbean could be directly impacted by a system. Now, is it going to be an all-out hurricane? Right now, I'm leaning towards no, but we need to watch this system. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. Hit me up on Twitter, Facebook. Great way to follow along. If you got TikTok, hit me up there. I normally post on TikTok when it's much more active, but I'm also on Instagram too, but I don't really have the link, I don't think, anywhere, except if it's under the video. I might still have that link. Not sure. But anyways, if you guys have got anything that I can pray about, pray over, please put in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it. And it gives others an opportunity to do so too. So you ever consider joining the channel, trying to reach 20 members by the end of this month? I think I'm at 16, 17 right now. So trying to get back to that 20 mark that I was at back in the spring. But anyways, let's get rolling here so we can let y'all guys get on with your day. Satellite is back up, so thankfully we can take a look at everything going on out here. As you can tell, a pretty cleared out air mass across the central and eastern U.S., and that's just because this big upper trough has swung through. So there's a large portion of the country that's waking up to a little to no cloud coverage. It's a beautiful morning, unless you're in Florida where the front never made it through and never was going to make it through. It's just not that time of the year where fronts make it all the way through Florida. You typically need to get into the later half of October into November. But all eyes are kind of on this. You know, it's not a serious threat. It's not even a threat, but it's something we need to watch. This is what we call Invest 96L. That is the name of it. And it's going to be something that's probably going to be trackable over the next several days. And it's still kind of in the central MDR, if you will. But it's definitely starting to get to what we would call the eastern main development region or eastern tropical Atlantic. Might be one out of the next, maybe one out of the next few systems that we have left to really track way out here. There's definitely going to be a couple more waves to watch, but this is definitely the one that we need to watch, especially if you're in the Leeward Islands, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Cuba. We'll watch, okay? So stick around to the second half of the video. We'll give you an update on that. But right now, per the 2 a.m. update, this might get upgraded, but we got a 50% risk in the next 5 days. Is it just for this to sound like Bugs Bunny? For this to develop within the next 5 days, and it actually has a 40% chance to develop in the next 48 hours into a depression or a named storm, which I don't think it's going to develop into a named storm in the next 24 hours, but you never know. So this needs to be watched. It's doing pretty well. We'll get a closer look at it here later in the video. As far as the Storm Prediction Center, the only area we watch for severe weather is an area in Nebraska and South Dakota, but I think this will be later this evening. But no real active weather today. It's very, very quiet out there. So let's break it down for the southeast. Pretty quiet. The only state that is going to be active literally is Florida, and the front is draped across this area. So if you're in the Panhandle of Florida, you're dry. You're pretty dry. But if you go from basically Jacksonville points south, Big Bend areas point south down into Orlando, Tampa Bay, Miami, every town and city in between, everybody's probably going to have an equal chance to see showers and storms today. And some can produce probably some flooding. And I'm surprised that the excessive rainfall outlook doesn't really have this area labeled and maybe a slight risk, because I think a lot of people could see a lot of rain in Florida today. So go on and be prepared for that this afternoon, this evening. A lot of showers and storms just ahead of this cold front that has kind of stalled out over this area for right now. But everywhere else, pretty chill day. Same as Northeast. The only thing I'll watch is maybe later on today in New York State, Vermont, New Hampshire, maybe some showers, maybe a storm tries to swing through the interior areas of the Northeast, but not a really big storyline at all. So Don't be surprised if you see that in those areas. But the south central U.S., the only area I'll watch for some showers and storms is in western areas of Texas, western areas of the panhandle of Oklahoma, and then maybe a shower or two sneaks into areas of Kansas and Nebraska, and maybe a severe storm or two in Nebraska later this evening. The more west you work, the more widespread these showers and storms are. But a tall ridge is building over this area. And I'll talk about temperatures here in a second. But the north central U.S., pretty quiet unless you live in the western areas of this region, the western Dakotas, Nebraska, western Nebraska. A little piece of energy will swing through along the upper areas of this ridge building, and this could promote some severe weather in these regions a little bit later this evening into overnight tonight. As you can tell, the ridge is building tall all the way up into North Dakota. Therefore, the middle of the country is going to climb into the 80s and 90s today. So you've pretty much lost the fall air mass. You definitely have. And the heat is building again, even in Arkansas, Missouri, where y'all saw some really nice temperatures early this week and this weekend. It's starting to warm up again. Not really a real humid kind of heat, but it's still pretty warm. But the further back east you work, the more you're still entrenched into that nice fall air mass, 70s in the Ohio Valley, northeast 60s and 70s where the cold front is pushed through. Very chilly air, not too far away into Canada. The southeast, unless you're in Florida, yes, it's going to warm into the 80s, but it's going to be a no humidity kind of day. Atlanta, Charlotte, Columbia, Birmingham, Jackson, Mississippi, up to Raleigh, Nashville, all the areas in the mid-south and southeast, big cities. Shreveport, the humidity is going to be low, even though it'll be in the 80s, so it's not going to feel awful out there. So let's talk about the GFS, the Euro, the Canadian, the Icon, the ensembles. We're gonna take a look at this really quick, so stick with me. Latest GFS, which I can tell you the GFS has not been excited about this invest much at all, but I can tell you over the last 8 runs, I would say 6 runs, it has trended more towards a stronger vortex, and I'll show you this here in a second. But here it is. Here's this wave Friday morning. I'll start this off Friday morning. Wave bringing ample amount of moisture from the northern Leeward Islands. This will work its way into Puerto Rico. Throughout the weekend, it'll be really showery and just gusty winds, but I'm not expecting, tropical storm force conditions or anything like that. This piece of energy is still right in here. And it actually sneaks probably south of the Dominican Republic, the actual main vortex. But, it gets interfered with the higher elevations of the Dominican Republic, brings some showers, and then it almost jolts north. It's kind of weird. We get into about a week out. Here's the low pressure right here, and it jolts north and turns due north somewhere in this area. And then you actually have an L that pops up. You get about 7 to 8 days out. All of a sudden, you have a somewhat strengthening low pressure. We're getting to 9 to 10 days out now. And the GFS turns this into something and strengthens it into a tropical storm and makes landfall about 10 days from now in eastern North Carolina. So there's some wild solutions developing with this. And I can tell you the European kind of likes the idea of this too, but it's a different track. So what's interesting here is this is what we call 850 millibar vortex here. So we look at this when we really, really can't see it off the precipitation map to really see how the vortex is going to look in the short and medium range. So I'll freeze this for tomorrow afternoon. This is the latest run on what it's saying this vortex is going to be tomorrow afternoon. Pretty tight looking vortex. It's still not a tropical storm or anything, but a pretty strong tropical wave. You look at the run prior to this, the run overnight, basically the more vibrant the colors look, the more reds, and then you get into dark reds. That's basically a stronger vortex. The more lighter colors like the yellows and the really lighter shades of yellows, that's a more weaker vortex. So we'll go to the run prior to this for the same time frame, 36 hours from now. You don't have those darker colors. You look at the run prior to this from yesterday evening, even less kind of more of a stronger, it shows even, let me get my words right, a more of a weaker vortex. You go to the run from yesterday around lunchtime, even weaker vortex. Run before that, and this is basically 24 hours ago, it barely even shows a vortice. Run before that, run before that, before that. So we'll go this all the way to the most current run, which is about 6 or 7 different runs. Bang, 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 bang. So it shows a much stronger vortice now in the short term, which means a lot. I mean, if we were looking at this in the medium to long term, it wouldn't mean a whole lot because you got a lot of time in between for it to change one way or the other. But you got this ridging, this light ridging right here that's steering this. And I feel like tonight we'll go a little bit more into what's steering this. So we're watching this. The European came in different overnight. Shows more of a, not a threatening scenario, but basically a strengthening system. Same thing will start this Friday morning. A lot of showers, storms, gusty winds for the northern Leeward Islands. Same thing with Puerto Rico. Somewhere just like the GFS, as we get into the later part of this coming weekend, you got a low pressure somewhere Sunday afternoon over the Dominican Republic. And then you start to have this low pressure really emerge in the southeast areas of the Bahamas. And then it starts to strengthen, heads due north. At this point, maybe a week from now, we have Fiona. But then it starts to head out to sea. So it's not a threatening scenario. At the same time, you got to watch this wave behind it. But we can't really talk much about this because this is in the long range. And it's just not very reliable in the long range this year at all. Nothing has been. You look at the Canadian run. What does the Canadian do? Canadian all-out strong tropical wave, but the Canadian runs this right through the big islands of the Caribbean, gets this, basically rides the mountaintops of Cuba, gets north of Cuba, kind of the same Canadian that we showed you last night. Gets this thing between Florida and Cuba around 6 days out from right now, around, next Tuesday afternoon, gets this into the Gulf of Mexico, starts to strengthen this into an all-out hurricane, and then makes landfall about, 10 days out and around Houston. But it's the Canadian model. Very hard to take serious, but, we're back to this scenario where all models that I'm showing you, GFS, Euro, even the unreliable and not as respected Canadian and Icon, all show a system forming now. Latest Icon, same kind of deal, kind of takes that path of all these, but this only goes 120 hours out, which takes us to about Sunday night into Monday morning. Has a pretty strong tropical wave getting close to tropical storm status somewhere around Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic. So all models now, operational run wise, show something. Now you look at the ensembles, and we're just going to show you 1 week. So ensembles for now between the next week, you got a support for this wave behind it, but here it is. Here's this system on the ensembles now showing some decent support of a system that can form, but it's kind of taking that more out the sea route. It gets very close, gets much closer than Earl did, affects the Bahamas. A lot of these members affect the Bahamas, affect a lot of areas of the Caribbean islands, but not with like a damaging hurricane or anything like that. It's a weak system, nothing that y'all can't handle or anything like that, but it might be another system where we have to watch Bermuda. So you look at the GEFS ensembles, the members that do show it, which it only makes up 21 members. So, of course, you're not going to see as many members on this. Shows a scenario where the stronger systems turn north quicker, but the weaker systems hang west a little bit longer. So, we'll take a look at, 96L out here. It's doing good. It's kind of more of a compact wave now. There's a lot of dry air on the northwest side of this system that's going to try to choke it out today. It got choked out yesterday. And I think these models are going to go back and forth. I really do. And it's all going to depend on how this does in the short term. But, this is getting close to the Leeward Islands, guys. I mean, so, it's not like we're tracking this and it's just coming off the coast of North Africa. I mean, this is starting to get in our territory, right? At the Caribbean and the Southwest Atlantic. So we need to watch this. And let's see if the models, again, throughout the day, kind of become much more less aggressive. They did that yesterday during the day. And then they got more aggressive overnight last night into this morning. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. What's going to happen with this? So is this our next threatening system? It doesn't look threatening right now, but it's something we need to watch. So that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless all y'all, and y'all have a great Wednesday.